It's finally that time of the year again for our annual Aliexpress gaming pre-built purchase. This time around, I spent about 1,100 Canadian dollars on this system. That's including tax and shipping, by the way. And I'm really excited to see what kind of weird and wonderful creation we get for that amount. But first, today's video is sponsored by Linode, which is slowly being absorbed by Akamai to form the most powerful Linux-based cloud computing service the world has ever seen. Kinda like it already is. Just look at this long list of Linux-based cloud computing services they offer. I can tell you're impressed. And this, combined with their competitive pricing and award-winning customer support, makes Linode a no-brainer choice. Sign up using the link in the video description to get a 60-day $100 free credit. Now, the first thing that I've noticed about this system, aside from the couple of bruises on the box, is that we don't get the prestigious work of Box Tape Man. But I think the reason for this is that I didn't buy the system from the AliExpress gaming pre-built kingpins Ipsen. I instead bought it from a seller called MXZ, and they probably still need to earn Box Tape Man's trust. Ooh. Okay. Oh, well, what we lose in Box Tape Man effort, MXZ makes up for in spades with a box slathered in the gameriest shape. And the box has a red undercarriage. MXZ, you spoil us. On top of the box, we get a power cable and some Wi-Fi antenna in an unnecessarily fancy bag. Although, interestingly, they did send the wrong power plug. And we also get a quick start guide. Important. Wow, that is a very nicely printed and clear quick start guide. Good job. Ooh, the foam situation is a little bare. There's not a whole bunch of it, but at least the bit that is there is nice soft foam. I do want to put this thin piece of foam back for when I remove the PC. Oh. That is already an interesting looking system. First off, it is in a gigabyte case that I've never seen before, which has 3 RGB fans in the front that are at greater risk of choking than a 3-year-old in a Lego factory, because the closest thing we have to front ventilation is this obscenely dense slat paneling. But at least we have that RGB peen going. And at least, again, we have some top ventilation with actual fans populating it. These are set up for exhaust though. I do want to test what turning these around will do later on for the temperatures, but we'll worry about that when we get to the testing phase. Let's put that back. And then up here we have some very usable front I/O with a dedicated RGB button, which should make you the envy of all your 12-year-old friends. And around the back we have a perfectly serviceable looking I/O, some exciting looking graphics card action with a Wi-Fi card, and some power supply, which we'll have a closer look at later. But with that, let's open her up. It's a stupid mouth. Oh, very good. We've got an expanded foam insert, which is a great way of protecting a PC while shipping, although they are a bit of a pain to get out. Oh, they've added even more foam for good measure. Although I feel like this is a placebo bit of foam at best. And under all of that is our reasonably snazzy looking system. The first thing that I notice is that shiny dual channel RAM kit. Very good. This is a 16 gig kit of Kirkland brand RAM, it seems like, running at 3200 megahertz. And next to that, we have the good old stock AMD cooler. I can't remember what CPU's under there, presumably an AMD one, but we'll figure that out later. We've also got a 500 gigabyte NVMe drive and a very basic looking Gigabyte B450 motherboard, which should get the job done, but it's really nothing fancy. And then in terms of the graphics card, we've got an MSI Ventus RTX 2060 Super, which may be a bit of an older graphics card, but it's still very capable. I think. We'll find out a bit later. On closer inspection of the graphics card, there seems to be a cable that is very close to doing some terrible things to that graphics card fan. We'll see what happens when we start it up. And in terms of power supply, we get this DK 5.0 premium power supply that I've never seen before. So let's open up the back and investigate. Ooh, that's a loose panel. Nice, nothing like a good old Molex centipede, always great to see. Other than that, cable management's pretty solid back here, although I do want to get that power supply out and have a closer look at it. Somehow, again, we managed to get a power supply that I've never seen before after like 4 years of doing this. I don't know how that keeps happening, but apparently it's a 500 watt, 80 plus bronze rated premium power supply. What more could you want? With that, I'm gonna stuff its guts back in and then we can fire it up to see what kind of venereal disease we're working with. Exciting stuff. We get to see if it actually powers on. Whoa, that's a unique color palette, and it's very much alive with Windows 10 on it nonetheless. In terms of VD, there's basically nothing, which is kind of standard for these Aliexpress systems. The CPU in here is a Ryzen 5 4500, a chip that I've never had a look at before, so I'm curious to see how it keeps up with that 2060 Super. Oh no, they forgot to enable the XMPs. That's real naughty MXZ, which I think means we should see what kind of gaming performance we get out of this system. But first, another day, another time I drive out of Franklin's house. Here at 1080p high settings, the system is, not doing a whole lot. We're hovering about 40% utilization for both the graphics card and the CPU. Although what that does mean is we are seeing very good temperatures. I mean, we haven't even hit 50 degrees Celsius on the GPU yet. The system is also nice and quiet, despite the fact that we have 8 million Molex fans going. They're not the noisiest Molex fans, you know? It's very good. Let's try a different game. The CPU is struggling a little bit to keep up with the RTX 2060 Super in here, but we are getting, when it's not stuttering, but that's standard Battlefield 5, we are getting about 120 frames per second. And now that we have actual utilization happening, the temperatures have climbed quite a bit, especially on the CPU. We're getting close to 70 degrees Celsius, which isn't bad. It really isn't. With that, let me play for a bit more and see where the temperatures top out. So I've been playing Battlefield 5 for a bit now, and the temperatures are exactly the same. So what I want to do next is enable the XMPs to see how much of a difference that makes, and then we'll try some real soul-crushing new games. I think it's running a little bit better. When we look at the standardized benchmarks, you can see that the main difference is actually the 1% lows. So, you know, you don't have as big dips in terms of the frame rate. Basically, turn XMPs on is the point we all have ingrained into our eyelids at this point. The same goes for Battlefield 5. It's not a life-changing difference by any means, but at least we're getting some higher 1% lows, which always makes the game feel a bit better. And besides, it just took one press of a button, basically. Oh, I forgot that I wanted to swap those top fans around to an intake to see if that helps the temperatures. Let me do that before I try and ruin this PC's innocence with Last of Us and other game. You can just tell these are some primo quality fans. Oh, okay, well, we may have shaved off about 3 degrees Celsius off our CPU, but it's just moved onto our GPU. I don't know if that's worth it. It's getting hotter as well. It keeps climbing now. It's also definitely noisier, so I have clearly made a bit of a whoopsie. Oh wow, this system runs the crap out of Cyberpunk. This is 1080p medium settings, so it's not super cranked in terms of settings, but it's over 80 sometimes. It's good. Let's actually see if we can pull off high. We're getting a very similar frame rate, in fact. Oh, here's the fancy car again. I found it. Yeah, the system is a little beast. Although, Cyberpunk isn't necessarily the creme de la creme of system crotch punchers anymore. So let's try some even newer games. At 1080p high, it's not going super well, but for a game like The Last of Us, this is pretty playable, and these are high settings, so you can drop them down a bit if you feel the need to. Oh, very, very reflective hole down there. It does feel a bit heavy, if that makes sense, but this is very much a game that's running. And then finally, we have It's Too Dark, I Can't See Anything, the video game, running at 1080p 4 gig high, I think. We are getting over 60 frames per second. It's running nicely. It's actually running better than The Last of Us was running, although we do also have some stuttering going on. But yeah, the graphics, the bit that you can see of it does look very nice, and yeah, this system's running it well. Which brings me to the end of my slightly more than annual look at an Aliexpress gaming pre-build. Considering the price, I think it held up well, although I do want some context, so I'm gonna go and buy a similarly priced system from Best Buy so we can do a bit of a pre-built shootout. Sub to the channel if you don't want to miss that, and until then, thank you for watching. Bye bye.